Welcome to the This Little Lighthouse podcast, where I share stories of encouragement for other home educating parents and stories of faith. I'm so glad that you're here, and I really hope this is an encouragement to you on your journey. Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the This Little Lighthouse podcast. I'm Lucy, and I'm joined by my husband,
Berno. Yes, hello. Yes, that's me.
And in the episode last time, we were talking about our approach to home education and how that's developed over the years.
Yeah.
Thank you to those of you who've messaged saying that you're enjoying the podcast, because that is really, it's an encouragement to us.
Yeah, please keep on, because sometimes we get tired and lazy and we think, oh, is it worth it?
Is anyone enjoying it?
It is worth it.
Is anyone going to listen to it?
I mean, we enjoy it, right?
Yeah, we do enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it is really encouraging when you message and just let us know that, yeah, you've enjoyed it. So tonight we're going to be talking about our values and digging into that a little bit deeper, because we touched on it last time. And we were saying about how important our values are to figuring out our approach.
I think the things you value is the things you want to pass on to your own children, isn't it? And you think, well, this is really important and I want you to know it, so I'm going to try and get that across to you somehow.
Yeah, and figuring out what that actually looks like is so helpful. Doing that together and kind of fleshing that out a bit more.
And I don't think we often think about our values very much, or I think we probably naturally do gravitate towards teaching our values, but not necessarily intentionally. Whereas if you've thought it through and you think, okay, I want these things to be embedded in my children, well, how do I do that? And what kind of skills do they need almost in order to be able to do that? Wow.
Yeah, I think so much of our values are subconscious, aren't they? They are kind of there in the background, kind of guiding our behaviour.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Often passed down by our parents, because we've that's a kind of environment we grew up in.
Yeah.
But I think especially in our worldview, like our idea around how the world has come about, the meaning of life, and those kinds of deeper questions, which we don't often really pursue, or might not even have time to think through. And a lot of the things we do value are things that maybe is just valued in our culture, and
that's true.
we don't actually think it through. We just kind of carry on thinking, yeah, those things are important, but we don't ask, oh, well, why are those things important? Why is there something else that's important? So I think for us, we're Christians, and we're very much invested in our faith, like in the teachings of Jesus, and we read the Bible in the mornings, try to pray together. But it's very much, I think our values are very much shaped from that foundation, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And so that's really helpful when we're thinking about, okay, how to home educate. I guess it's helpful because we're on a similar page with that.
Yeah.
But it still takes work to talk that through together and to work out how that works in practice, because even though we might have similar values, we've still come from two separate families who have had very different ways of living out. Doing life. That's it. Doing life.
And like going back to kind of the Christian thing, different churches and different spiritual backgrounds, although Christian.
Yeah.
But different expressions of that.
Yeah, so last time we touched on the Charlotte Mason philosophy of education, and we talked about how that, or I mentioned how that sort of aligned with our values, or our values aligned with the Charlotte Mason philosophy.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be great to talk a little bit more about that tonight and what our values are, but also encourage you that if you haven't thought about those values already, to take some time to think that through and to write them down, because I think it's so helpful when you articulate your values. It does make you think about it. And then sometimes something that's really important to you, like at the beginning for us, I remember us saying, like, we wanted the girls to have lots of outdoor time. The outdoors was really important to us. we love nature,
Yeah.
and so we wanted to make sure that they were spending time every day outside in nature. And then a couple of years in, I sort of realised, hang on, that's kind of fallen away. We're not like prioritising this very much. I'm kind of prioritising or valuing other things over that. And I think that's an interesting point, because I think sometimes our values can, or our priorities can be in conflict with each other, or ideals.
They compete. They can compete, and often you want to try and hold everything together, but you end up having to prioritize some things over other things, don't you?
Yeah. So I know that the outdoors for us is definitely something that we value and that's really important to us.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about some of the other things?
Well,
I
think just as a bit of a caveat, saying, okay, we're coming from a Christian perspective with this, but that doesn't mean you have to be Christian to listen to this. It's just helpful for people to know that this is the kind of the foundation that we build it on. And our bias would say, yeah, well, the way of Jesus is the best way. But that's the thing. I think for everyone, they need to investigate part of that foundation of them. There's to then get to what the values are that promotes. And that helps you then to think, okay, right, what is important to me and how do I pass that on? So, I just thought I'd just say that.
Yeah.
This is not...
We're sharing from our personal experience, and we know that not everybody who's going to watch this is going to have the same values as we do.
Although saying that, I think as Westerners, we do carry a lot of similar values anyway.
Yeah.
So there's different reasons for that. But anyway, sorry, what was your question before?
I was just going to ask what other values I thought maybe you might like to share, rather than me doing lots of talking.
Well, so as human beings, we're very social beings. We're very social creatures, and I think just one of the books we've been reading or currently reading is The Anxious Generation. It talks all about kind of how technology has impacted the younger generations and how they socialize and interact, and social anxieties and all those kinds of stuff that's come about. But I think throughout the ages we've been aware that we as human beings are very social creatures, and actually we're dependent on community. We are part of our reason for a healthy life is to be in community with each other.
Yeah, we need each other.
That's right. And so relationships so important. Knowing how to do relationships well, that's where it comes with marriages. Healthy marriage, that's all about relationship. Family life, all about relationship. Your work colleagues and your peers, it's all about relationship. And then it's, okay, if the society around us wants to flourish, it's about how do we go about doing relationships. So there's the outdoors that we absolutely love, but then there's also our relationship with each other and the people around us, and how much do we value relationships, and how much are we willing to put in effort and energy to have healthy relationships, and what skills do we require to do that? Because often we want to, when things get difficult, we try and run away, or there's this kind of fight and flight response, or there's a third one as well, freeze. Yeah. Who knows when the next one will come out? But there's we kind of have depending on the environment, I guess, we've grown up in and the challenges that we've faced, those have a real impact in how we then deal with relationships. Do we get angry and we fight our cause in our corner? Do we try and run away? It's like, right, I've had enough, I'm trying to get out of this. Or do we freeze? I've been a bit of a freezer at points where I just don't know what to say. I've just no idea. Lucy's like, come on, you need to give me something.
Just like, say something, come on.
I just want something. That's valuing relationships, I think. So important.
Yeah, so relationships, outdoors, and we have a couple of the other things. Well, obviously a big thing we've touched on is our relationship with God. And valuing that, and so that also then impacts everything else.
Well, it impacts the other two as well, because we believe God created everything, and so part of being in the outdoors is being able to look at creation and see it in action and enjoying it, just being in it. And then it's the same thing about, we as human beings are created in the image of God. There's something about us that reflects God, and so the way we we interact with each other matters, because if we are created in the image of God, then it's almost like I'm kind of relating to God in a way as well. And these are kind of deeply embedded theological ideas in the kind of the Christian worldview. So yeah, suddenly all these things are connected. I think that's the thing with our values, is they're all interconnected as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's, although we're kind of teasing them out a bit,
Yeah.
actually they're all related to each other. It's not...
Yeah. But I think it's still so important to think them through intentionally.
Yeah.
Because it just helps in terms of the day-to-day. Because, when you've grown up and you've obviously had your own experience in your own education, and then that's in some ways conditioned you to believe certain things, but also to behave in a certain way,
Yeah.
and to expect a certain pattern of behaviour. And so I think it's really helpful to tease these things out, to intentionally break them down, and then think about, okay, so how do we teach these values, and how do we model those values? Because I think often we think about teaching it, but actually modeling is the most important thing. You know, we can talk about, this is really important to me, and this is where the challenge, I think, comes in, because it's that thing of, you can say something's important to you, but actually living that out in the day to day,
modeling it,
and that accountability. Again, because of relationship, we need that. These relationships to help keep us accountable, and again, that's where community comes in, doesn't it? But
and that's where your family is almost kind of your first sense of community.
Yeah.
So the way you grow up in your family home and the environment you grow up in, that has such a huge impact. It kind of almost sets the defaults in how you're going to be when you end up making your own family, like your parenting and things. So often we reflect on our parents and how they did things, and the environment we grew up in, and then you start your own, and you start thinking, I didn't like what they did, so I'm not going to do that. But then you have to find your own way, and you end up finding yourself slipping back into, now I know why I did it that way. And I'm really tempted to do it in the same way, because that's the way I've been shown to do things.
Again, it's going back to that thing of unlearning and learning things, and trying to be intentional and conscious about what you're doing.
Which is where, if you then really look into understanding your values and why those things are important to you, you can then be so much more intentional in the environment you create and the way you go about passing those things on, rather than just defaulting to what your parents did. And if your parents did a great job, I mean, that makes it easy, right?
Yeah. That helps. That helps.
But the reality is, none of us are perfect.
No one's perfect. No one's perfect. So So we're all learning and growing, and I think that's a big thing that I thought about when looking at our values, is this idea of having a growth mindset. You know, this thing of that, also that curiosity, but having that growth mindset of, we are going to get things wrong, and but it's then how do we deal with that? And you're looking at me like,
sorry, you're using growth mindset. It's clearly something you've listened and heard about, and it's a concept that. What do you mean by growth mindset?
So that thing of, when you've made a mistake, or it's also that thing of, you talk about, you might think of someone who's naturally really good at something.
Right.
And maybe you don't necessarily have that like natural ability, but it's that thing of, rather than just being like, well, I'm no good at that, and so I'm not going to do that, or I'm no good at this. It's that thing of, looking at your strengths, but also, being, I'm not explaining it very well.
Being open to learn.
He's put me on the spot now.
There you go. You're talking about articulating your values.
Yes. It's good to articulate yourself.
So when you say growth mindset, do you mean like you're going to make mistakes, but rather than that breaking you down, those should be, your mindset should be, I can learn from this.
Yes, that's exactly it. Learning from it and reflecting on it, and then moving forward, rather than just being like, right, no, I'm no good at that, I'm not going to do it.
I think that is reflecting on our education, where you are marked on the rights and the wrongs, and so the way you're treated if you've done something wrong. Oh, that's bad. That's naughty.
Yes.
So that then like, oh no, I want to get it right. That was me as a teenager. I wanted to not necessarily please people, but I wanted to do things and give the right answer and say the right thing. But that then meant I didn't actually think for myself.
Yeah.
Because I valued giving the right answer.
Yes.
More than being able to think for myself and have that freedom to say, well, okay, how do I understand this properly, not just give the right answer?
Yeah.
Okay, growth
Yeah,
mindset.
so that growth mindset, that's...
Yeah.
Yeah. And also that curiosity, like I said as well. And creativity, you talked about that when we kind of talked about our values. That encouragement to be creative and have the time and the space to be creative.
And the courage. Courage to pursue your creativity.
That's true, yeah.
Because often you can feel, you're using the example, that person's so much better than me. Like, I've got this desire to do it, but because there's all these other people that I see who's doing it so well, and they kind of also got this natural talent to it, kind of puts me off because I'm not a natural.
Yeah.
So, but it's actually, well, no, it's not about, it's just having the courage just to do it, give it a go.
See, that's the thing that I think I'm only just discovering as an adult, because I remember at school, I don't know whether this is just the way I thought, or whether this is kind of because of school and the environment, but I would look at people and think, oh, so-and-so is really sporty and I'm not as good as them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not good like that. So I'd almost like not try, because I would just think, well, I could never like attain that level of sportiness.
Right.
Or
yeah.
That was
You
sport,
haven't got
but then
that
there was
natural
art.
talent
Then
or
I'd look at
ability,
people who are really like artistic and be like, well, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that. So I just wouldn't. And then, like, it's only now as an adult I'm realising, but sure, some people do have natural abilities, but really a lot of it is about practice. It's like, if you practice at something, you will get better at it.
Do you know what this makes you think about? So 10 years ago, we were working as outdoor instructors, and the winter before that, we trained. Now, this was all you that got us into that, and it's funny because it's a very adventurous sporty side of things, which before that I've not really discovered in you.
No.
I knew you as this freshly married girl who cycled to uni, and then on her first trip the bike chain falls off and she cries about it, and then I have to come and rescue her. Like, that was the Lucy I kind of initially knew.
Yeah, embarrassing.
But then we did this outdoor training thing.
Yeah.
And the thing you were really good at is we had to roll kayaks. So in the sea, in the winter, so you capsize on purpose, and then you have to use the paddle to get yourself back up without popping out.
Yeah.
You were very good at it because you refined the technique, and that's it. You refined technique. I could use brute strength to do that, but it was so much easier with technique. And this is the thing, like, we did that course, and that's partly where we've really come to value the outdoors as well, through that, giving you the skills to explore that and take steps of courage and things. And
facing those fears. And actually realising that you can do a lot more than you think you can do.
And climbing as well, the amount of times you were crying while you...
I was so embarrassing now. I think back to the instructors that must have been at the bottom waiting for me while I was literally having a massive emotional breakdown at the top of the cliff. And
well, halfway up, she wasn't even up to the top.
Maybe not at the top. That's a good point.
But there was a distinctive moment where you had a mind shift. You just switched.
Yeah.
And you just went for it. I
just suddenly was like, right, that's it now. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've digressed.
But that's the growth mindset.
Yeah, that's the growth mindset.
That switch, that's that courage, that's creativity, or pursuing things that you might initially have thought, no, I can't do that. And yet here you are. Yeah.
It's great fun. It's such a great experience. Anyway, so talking about Charlotte Mason, no, it was great what you've said. But just going back to Charlotte Mason's philosophy, and actually lots of the things that we've talked about are things that stood out to me in the Charlotte Mason philosophy when I was reading about it. So thinking about some of the things that stood out, one of them was that she talked about children being outdoors.
Yeah.
She was famously quoted for saying, why be indoors when you can rightly be outdoors. I'm going to get this wrong now. Yeah, I don't think I've got that right. But it's going to bug me.
We can put the quote in the
Put the
description.
quote up, yeah.
Yeah, put it in the description.
Something like that. But she talks about children spending at least 6 hours a day outside, which in England in winter, I'm not sure. That's quite.
Well, it is the saying.
That's quite ambitious.
You don't have the bad weather. You only have bad clothing. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's all these sayings.
Those quotes. But yeah, that was a really big part of her philosophy, and nature study as well.
Yeah.
Is part of her philosophy as well. And she talked about, so her approach is holistic. So thinking about
the whole human being,
person.
the whole person.
Yeah, and she talked about them being born persons as well. So
Right.
like,
I mean, I'm what? Okay.
so often people would think of a newborn baby as just like this blank slate,
Right.
and you're kind of filling them with knowledge. But
Okay.
she talked about how, like, when a child is born, they are already a person. They already have these
Personality.
They already have personality.
Yeah. They already have qualities that
Yeah.
are unique to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in a way, you're discovering that person.
Right.
You're discovering who they are.
Right.
And in terms of like this holistic approach, it's looking at not just like that intellectual side
Yeah.
of the person, which often we get so focused on when we think about education. We think about the intellectual
intellect
side
and knowledge. Yeah.
rather than thinking about, the emotional well-being or the social side or the spiritual side, the physical side.
Yeah.
And you've got an abbreviation that you came across for this.
So
didn't you?
when I was at Bible college, one of the lecturers there, he came across the physical, intellectual, emotional, and social development. But he said,
Pies.
pies, yeah. But he's like, well, what about the spiritual side? So he added that. So
he added it.
He added that and became SPIES. But I think within forest schools as well, you get that abbreviation, SPIES there. Spiritual, physical, intellectual, emotional and social development. So that's kind of the whole person, every aspect of us. Unless someone else finds another one to add to that, who knows? But that sounds to me pretty good, focusing on all those aspects. And I include that in how I try and do youth work. So when I'm running a session, I often think, okay, as I'm preparing for this, am I including elements of all these things into it to help engage the whole person in what we're doing?
Yeah.
So
that's really helpful.
Yeah. And often you do that, you kind of do that on a daily basis anyway, the whole aspect.
Who I do.
Yeah, well, both of us, all of us in this house. And these things are intertwined again, although we might pull them apart as, okay, this bit's intellectual. Actually, they're all, again, related to each other. It's different facets to a person rather than, okay, now we're just going to do the intellectual work. Actually, by understanding the world around us. For example, in the mornings we'll read Bible when we have breakfast. There's both, we kind of engage the intellectual side, we engage the emotional side. There's a spiritual aspect to it as well. Not necessarily physical, I don't know, we're eating. but there's kind of these activities encompass almost more than one of those elements.
Yeah.
In whatever we're doing. So
yeah.
SPIES.
It's quite helpful.
Yeah. So Charlotte Mason, she's all about the SPIES.
She's all about SPIES.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the thing that also drew me to her philosophy was thinking about actually what children are learning. So
okay, like the content.
So I found that really inspiring about her philosophy. So she talked about, exposing them to beautiful literature and artists and kind of giving them this feast, laying the feast and giving them the best,
But it's a curated feast. It's not just anything and everything.
Yeah. So it's a curated feast. And by feeding them on these beautiful ideas, it's that idea of like what we feed our brains with, what we feed our minds with and our souls with, that's naturally what's going to
Make an imprint on us.
and develop who we are as people.
And do you know what? I can already see that in the girls. For example, we love listening to audiobooks. And when we went to Wales, we were trying to find audiobooks. And we started listening to one, which is not the usual stuff we listen to. We listen to a lot of Enid Blyton.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. That one was I think that was David Williams, one of his books. He does very silly books, very crazy stuff.
I'm trying to remember this book.
I think there was one about pets, the craziest pets. He came up, made all these stories about the wildest pets and how...
Yeah, I wasn't such a big fan of those books.
But you don't really listen to the audiobooks much anyway. You're in your own little world. Me and the girls, we're loving it.
Very true.
But for all of us, it's a bit like we listen to these stories and we listen to the content of it is wild and crazy, but it lacks substance. It lacks that depth of interaction, relationships with others. Whereas when we listen to the Enid Blyton stories, the way the children all interact with each other and the things they pursue and the adventures they go on, there's something in there in how these characters develop and grow and interact. So.
Yeah, but that's not because that's interesting with the Enid Blyton books, because obviously there's so much that happens in there. There are some bits in the story where, there's not
it's not particularly wholesome.
Yeah, like
certain ideas, but this is what's great about it, is because then it creates a conversation and we start talking about it. For example, something unwholesome about Enid Blyton is that she doesn't like children wandering around bare feet. Very unwholesome of her. Anyway, and that creates a conversation with us.
Yeah, that's true. So it's not that you're trying to kind of shield them and protect them from any
bad stuff,
evil or like bad stuff. That's a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
It's that thing of
it creates conversation.
It creates conversation where
you can reflect on it and say, oh, why is it good, or why is this not good? And yeah. So that's the kind of the content that you expose your children to. Yeah.
But I just found that really inspiring, and because I was thinking about, obviously wanting them to be curious and wanting them to learn, but not necessarily that they just, like you said, they're exposed to everything and anything, because again, that goes back to our values and what's important to us. And
yes, although we do read the Bible. And the Bible is pretty rough.
Yeah. But again, it's talking about that.
Yeah, it is. And sometimes it is a bit like, okay, right, we're going to probably, you're not the right age yet to engage with this stuff, so we'll skip over it. But
it takes wisdom and
that's
discernment to figure out.
And that's what's interesting about the Bible is it's not shy about how we as humans live and kind of human behavior. It doesn't sugarcoat that stuff.
No.
But it does mean, okay, when is the right time to engage with this? And how much do we shelter? I don't know about sheltering. I think problems will come up, and it's equipping them with the tools to be able to take those problems on.
Yeah.
And sheltering doesn't necessarily help, because then you haven't got the skills, or you've not had the experience to then think, okay, well, how can I take this on? But certainly you want to protect them in some way, so that they are at the right stage to be able to tackle those issues and those problems.
Yeah, and I think that is a tricky one. It's not always very straightforward, and it takes being intentional and talking it through and figuring that out together, I think. And we're not, we don't always get it right either.
We don't sometimes know whether we got it right or not.
Yeah, we don't know. We're just like, oh, hopefully this is going to be...
It's still all right.
But if something's obviously, something comes up that's concerning them, talking it through and, like in Enid Blyton, there's all sorts of things that go on. And sometimes I think, maybe we did read that a bit early. Maybe they were a bit too young.
But then you don't know what goes over their head and what things they say. And it's a bit the same of when we go out in public. And during the daytime, most kids are at school, but in the public, people swear a lot, really loudly around who who we walk around and talk, and I think as parents you become, your ears prick up. You're like, oh gosh, I hope they've not heard that, but they probably have, but they probably don't think anything of it because it's just grown-ups talking and they don't actually hear and take it in. So
one thing
it's a side. We're digressing a bit here.
Yeah, we are digressing. One of the things I was just thinking about going back to this is also like pre-reading things. I've not been very good at pre-reading books.
Yes.
And I think that's definitely a lesson that I've learnt, is to pre-read things before just being like, oh yeah, let's read that, it sounds good. But yeah, we've digressed.
Anyway, values. So what else about Charlotte Mason?
I think those are the main things that stood out to me about her philosophy. So there's that time outdoors,
content, the
content,
feast,
the
the environment.
And the environment, yes. She talks about this atmosphere. So she said education is an atmosphere, a discipline and a life. And I'm still kind of unpacking that because I think there's multiple ways to maybe interpret that. But I understand it as, the atmosphere that we grow up in, that educates us, like we've touched on already.
Yeah.
Like our family life. And it's a discipline and a life. And I think, we're always learning, aren't we? We're always discovering.
Yeah. So if people want to dig into their values.
So if they want to dig into their values, for those of you who are listening, Berno's winking at me because you might forget that some people are watching it and they know what's going on, but some people are listening. He's winking at me, and that is my hint to mention the course that I am running in September. And the course is designed for a small group of parents. The idea is that so they're online workshops, and it's a small group to allow for time and discussion.
One of those sessions are particularly on your values.
One of the sessions, we're going to spend a whole session on values. In the pilot session, we did a mixture of values and why, as in why you choose to home educate, and we looked at the purpose of education. And it was too much for one session, so I've broken it into two, so we can do a full session on values and talking that through. I've got some questions to help people to think that through and reflect as well. There's a workbook that comes alongside the course. So if you are wanting some more information about that, please do let me know. And I think that's it from us. We've talked about a lot tonight.
Yeah, it's probably a bit longer than previous ones, but there you go.
Yeah, if we've talked about anything and you've got any questions about what we've talked about, or if we've not been very clear on anything, then please do send me a message or comment below, and we can always clarify things as well.
Yeah.
And if there's anything you'd like us to talk about in a future episode, please let us know too.
What's coming up in the next episode?
That is a good question. I have it written down somewhere and I can't remember.
Episode 4.
Episode 4.
Ooh, mystery.
A mystery.
That's exciting. Well, then we shall finish on that then, shall we?
We'll finish on that mystery. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.